And so, over the next 6 days, we are going to take our case to the American people, and we are going to win. In recent months, a new controversy has erupted in the political landscape surrounding Vice President Kamala Harris, fueled by none other than the ever-controversial tech mogul Elon Musk. Known for his polarizing statements and unpredictable nature, Musk has taken it upon himself to shed light on what he claims are the darkest secrets of Kamala Harris, painting her rise to the vice presidency in a far more sinister light than anyone anticipated. These allegations have gripped the public and political sphere as speculation mounts about Harris's upcoming face-off with Donald Trump in the 2024 election, following President Joe Biden's decision to step down from the race. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. Musk's claims have sparked a media frenzy, and his wide-reaching influence ensures that any information he presents spreads rapidly. According to Musk, Harris's ascent to the second-highest office in the land was not the result of her political acumen or her hard-fought battles in the Senate and as California's Attorney General. Instead, Musk hints at a web of conspiracies, backdoor deals, and elite-level favoritism that have positioned her for power in ways unseen by the public. As these accusations unfold, Harris's campaign for 2024 could be significantly impacted, with many wondering if she can effectively combat both Trump and the mounting suspicions now hanging over her candidacy. One of the key accusations Musk has leveled against Harris revolves around her alleged involvement with influential political donors and Silicon Valley power brokers. In a scathing attack, Musk, who himself has become a larger-than-life figure in Silicon Valley and beyond, claimed that Harris's connections to high-level tech executives have been instrumental in her political climb. While it's no secret that Harris has ties to many influential figures in California due to her long political career in the state, Musk's comments suggest that these relationships run deeper, perhaps bordering on ethically dubious alliances. Musk implied that these powerful allies may have smoothed the path for her to become Biden's running mate in 2020, bypassing other qualified candidates. While many pundits dismiss these claims as mere conspiracy theories or the exaggerations of a man with his own political motivations, Musk's massive platform has made it difficult for the accusations to go unnoticed. What makes Musk's claims particularly compelling to his audience is his intimate knowledge of how power operates in Silicon Valley and how wealth can influence politics behind the scenes. He suggests that Harris, well before Biden's campaign in 2020, had positioned herself as a favorite among the tech elite, leveraging her relationships to secure donations, media coverage, and ultimately a place on the ticket. Musk also touched on what he described as the invisible hand guiding Harris's political career, from her early days as a district attorney in San Francisco through her rise to national prominence. He pointed to her swift ascension through the ranks as evidence of strategic alliances rather than purely merit-based success. According to Musk, Harris's political career has been built upon a foundation of carefully crafted relationships with key players in politics and business, people who, in exchange for their support, have pushed her forward at every turn. He implied that such connections and favors might explain her sudden emergence as a vice presidential contender after a relatively short tenure in the U.S. Senate, raising questions about the integrity of her candidacy. As these rumors swirl, they have ignited deeper questions about how political power in the United States is actually distributed. Musk's assertions seem to echo broader public concerns about the intertwining of wealth, technology, and political influence. For many, his comments have reopened discussions on whether the country's leaders are truly elected by the people or if their rise is preordained by a small group of elites working in the shadows. Whether or not Musk's claims hold weight, the fact that these ideas are being brought up at all signals a shift in how many voters view the political process, particularly in an era where billionaires and corporations hold tremendous sway over the direction of the country. What makes this moment even more striking is the timing of Biden's sudden exit from the 2024 race, which has only served to magnify the spotlight on Harris. As the current vice president, she is now positioned to become the Democratic Party's primary candidate, and Musk's revelations threaten to cast a shadow over her campaign from the outset. Harris will likely be forced to address these accusations head-on if she hopes to maintain credibility, but the damage could already be done, particularly in an age where public perception is shaped so quickly by social media and the rapid spread of unverified information. In this environment, Harris will have to navigate an already challenging political landscape with the added burden of these claims. conspiracy theories questioning her legitimacy as she prepares to face Donald Trump, a seasoned political fighter known for his own embrace of controversial tactics and conspiracy theories, may put Harris on the defensive from the very beginning. Trump, who thrives on sowing doubt and casting his opponents in the worst possible light, will likely seize upon Musk's comments as further ammunition in his attacks against her. Trump's base, deeply entrenched in their mistrust of mainstream politics, could use Musk's allegations to bolster their beliefs that Harris, like many politicians, is part of an elite establishment that works against the interests of ordinary Americans. Musk's role in this unfolding political drama is particularly significant, as he is not simply a passive observer. His deep influence in both the technological and political arenas means that his statements have a far-reaching impact. Musk has built a reputation for challenging the status quo, whether through his revolutionary work with Tesla and SpaceX, or through his outspoken critiques of government and societal norms. His recent takeover of the social media platform X, formerly Twitter, has only amplified his voice, providing him with a direct line to millions of followers who often take his word as gospel. Thus, his remarks about Harris are not easily dismissed, as they come from a figure with both credibility and clout in the public's eyes. The implications of Musk's revelations could extend far beyond the 2024 election. If his claims gain traction, they could signal a broader reckoning within the Democratic Party and American politics as a whole. Harris, once seen as a trailblazer for women and people of color in American politics, might find her legacy tarnished by allegations of backdoor dealings and under-the-table favors. Her ability to inspire and mobilize key voter bases, including women, minorities, and younger voters, could be severely undercut by a growing sense of disillusionment with her candidacy. At the same time, the very nature of Musk's claims could also play into a larger narrative about the dangers of misinformation and conspiracy theories in the modern political arena. As 2024 approaches, the line between fact and fiction in political discourse seems increasingly blurred. Musk's statements, regardless of their veracity, are likely to fuel the fire of skepticism that many Americans already feel toward their political leaders. This skepticism, if left unchecked, could further erode trust in the democratic process, leaving voters to question whether their choices truly matter or if the game has already been rigged by unseen forces. For Harris, the road ahead is fraught with challenges. Musk's allegations have forced her into a position where she must defend not only her political career, but also her very legitimacy as a candidate. The public will demand answers, and how she responds could determine the trajectory of her campaign. Will she be able to dispel these rumors and refocus the conversation on her policies and vision for the future? Or will she become entangled in the web of conspiracy, unable to shake the doubts that Musk has so effectively sown into the public consciousness? As Harris prepares to face Trump in what promises to be one of the most contentious presidential elections in modern history, the stakes could not be higher. Both candidates are polarizing figures in their own right, and the battle between them will likely shape the future of American politics for years to come. Trump, ever the master of political theater, will almost certainly capitalize on the drama surrounding Harris, using Musk's claims to question her integrity and rally his base. Harris, on the other hand, will have to strike a delicate balance between addressing these accusations and staying focused on the issues that matter most to voters. What makes this confrontation all the more fascinating is the broader context of an America deeply divided. Musk's comments have come at a time when trust in political institutions is already at a historic low. Many Americans feel alienated from the political process, convinced that their leaders are more beholden to corporate interests and wealthy donors than to the average citizen. In this environment, conspiracy theories often thrive, providing simple answers to complex problems. Musk's framing of Harris as a product of such backroom dealings taps into this sense of disillusionment and distrust, further muddying the waters of an already volatile political landscape. As Elon Musk's claims about Kamala Harris continue to stir up a maelstrom of speculation, the ramifications extend far beyond the immediate questions of her rise to power. At the heart of this controversy is a deeper concern about the mechanisms of influence within American politics, particularly the role that elites and corporate interests play in shaping the country's leadership. Musk's allegations may seem like salacious details to some, but to others, they reflect long-standing fears that the political system has been co-opted by a select few at the expense of the broader electorate. This concern has only intensified with Musk's revelations, raising important questions about the transparency and accountability of the country's most powerful figures. For years, the idea that political power is concentrated among a select group of wealthy donors and influencers has pervaded American political discourse. The influence of lobbyists, super PACs, and high-powered donors has often been criticized for warping the democratic process. Harris's connection to Silicon Valley elites, as Musk suggests, plays directly into this narrative. As the 2024 election approaches, the American electorate could find itself increasingly skeptical of the very systems designed to represent them, further deepening political cynicism. For some voters, Musk's claims offer validation of what they have long believed, that those who ascend to the highest levels of political power often do so because of behind-the-scenes maneuvering, not because of the will of the people. Harris's relationship with Silicon Valley executives, which Musk alluded to, is especially noteworthy given the central role that big tech has come to play in modern life. In the years leading up to her selection as vice president, the technology industry has expanded its influence both economically and politically. From the ways in which tech platforms shape public discourse to the tremendous wealth generated by these companies, Silicon Valley has increasingly been seen as a power center in American politics. Harris, hailing from California and representing a state that is home to many of these tech giants, has naturally developed relationships with some of the most prominent figures in the industry. However, Musk's suggestions go further, implying that these relationships may have crossed a line from mere professional interactions to undue influence that played a decisive role in her political rise. In particular, Musk's claims about Harris's alleged reliance on tech elites to secure her position as Biden's running mate raise uncomfortable questions about the nature of her candidacy. Was Harris genuinely selected for her experience, her values, and her ability to lead the country? Or was her candidacy backed by a cabal of tech moguls who sought to elevate someone who would represent their interests in the White House? The very fact that such questions are being asked points to the unease that many Americans feel about the increasingly close ties between Washington, D.C. and the tech industry. With tech companies exerting immense influence over everything from social media algorithms to data privacy regulations, the possibility that these same companies played a hand in determining the Democratic ticket could stoke fears about the erosion of democracy. Of course, the timing of these revelations is particularly precarious for Harris as she prepares to campaign against Donald Trump. The former president is notorious for weaponizing conspiracy theories, using them to attack his opponents and rally his base. In the lead-up to the 2020 election, Trump repeatedly employed tactics that questioned the integrity of the political system, casting doubt on the legitimacy of his opponents and their backers. Musk's claims provide Trump with a fresh avenue of attack. By aligning himself with the concerns raised by Musk, Trump could position himself as the candidate who represents the people against a shadowy elite that includes tech billionaires, powerful corporations, and political insiders. For Harris, countering these allegations will not be an easy task. On one hand, she will need to refute these claims while also managing the broader narrative that they represent. The conspiracy theories circulating about her rise to power, without giving them too much credence, pose a challenge for Harris. On the other hand, she will need to reassure voters that her candidacy is grounded in principles of public service and dedication to the American people. Doing so may require her to reframe her narrative, focusing on her years of service as a prosecutor and senator while distancing herself from any appearance of impropriety regarding her relationships with powerful donors or tech executives. However, this may prove difficult in an era where public trust in institutions is already eroding. In the context of the broader political landscape, Musk's comments also reignite discussions about the role of social media in shaping political narratives. Musk, as the owner of X, has unparalleled control over one of the largest platforms for political discourse. His ability to disseminate information, whether factual or speculative, grants him a degree of influence that most political operatives could only dream of. With a single tweet, Musk can shift public opinion, generate media attention, and ignite debates that ripple through both traditional media outlets and social networks. This power dynamic raises significant ethical questions about the role of billionaires in shaping political discourse. Should someone with Musk's level of influence be allowed to steer the national conversation in this way? And how do we differentiate between legitimate concerns and personal or political motivations when billionaires engage in political commentary? The convergence of social media, corporate influence, and politics creates a volatile mix that could define the 2024 election. Harris's position as the Democratic frontrunner, now under scrutiny due to Musk's claims, is emblematic of the larger concerns many voters have about transparency and accountability in government. While Trump has long portrayed himself as a political outsider fighting against a corrupt establishment, Musk's allegations about Harris could fuel a similar narrative for a portion of the electorate, this time aimed at the tech industry's outsized role in politics. Yet, even as Musk's revelations cast doubt on Harris's rise to power, they also reveal the fragility of modern political campaigns in an era dominated by viral information. Harris's team will undoubtedly face an uphill battle in attempting to control the narrative surrounding her candidacy. With the speed at which information and misinformation spread on platforms like X, the damage may already be done. Musk's claims, regardless of their factual basis, will likely continue to reverberate throughout the media and online spaces, planting seeds of doubt that could affect voter perceptions in the months to come. The implications for the Democratic Party as a whole are also significant. Harris, once seen as a future leader of the party, now finds herself mired in controversy at a time when the party is already grappling with its identity following Biden's exit from the 2024 race. The party faces a critical juncture. Should Harris falter under the weight of these allegations, the Democratic Party may need to reassess its leadership and direction heading into one of the most consequential elections in recent memory. In a political climate where perception is often reality, the mere appearance of impropriety could be enough to derail Harris's campaign, especially if Musk's claims continue to gain traction. But the effects of Musk's comments extend beyond just the 2024 election. They also contribute to a growing sense of disillusionment with the political process in general. Musk's characterization of Harris as a candidate backed by an elite network, rather than a true representative of the people, taps into widespread concerns about the disconnect between politicians and ordinary Americans. Over the past few decades, many voters have grown increasingly frustrated with what they see as a political system that caters to the wealthy and powerful while neglecting the needs of the working class. Musk's claims may not be the root cause of this frustration, but they certainly add fuel to the fire, reinforcing the belief that the political game is rigged in favor of the few at the expense of the many. For Harris, navigating this political minefield will require a delicate balancing act. On one hand, she will need to reassure her supporters that she is the right candidate to lead the country, while on the other, she must effectively counter the accusations being leveled against her without allowing them to define her candidacy. Her ability to strike this balance could determine the trajectory of her campaign and, by extension, the future of the Democratic Party. However, with the specter of Musk's allegations looming over her, the path forward may be more difficult than ever. Musk's influence in shaping this controversy also speaks to a larger issue within American democracy: the role of wealth and power in determining the course of the country's political future. The fact that a single individual, through his control of a major social media platform and his personal celebrity, can introduce doubts about the legitimacy of a political candidate is indicative of the current state of American politics. As billionaires like Musk continue to wield significant influence over the national conversation, it raises important questions about the health of democracy itself. Can a system in which a few individuals have outsized control over information and discourse truly be considered democratic? And how do we ensure that the voices of ordinary citizens are not drowned out by the noise generated by the wealthy and powerful? Elon Musk's decision to enter the political fray with his allegations about Kamala Harris's rise to power represents a seismic shift in how tech leaders influence national conversations. The intersection of politics and technology is nothing new, but Musk's increasingly direct role in shaping political narratives adds a new dimension to this relationship. He has evolved from a disruptive entrepreneur into a figure who shapes public opinion not just through innovation but through political commentary that resonates with millions. This transition from tech titan to political provocateur places Musk in an unprecedented position, where his words carry enormous weight in shaping the 2024 presidential race. Musk's involvement in the political process, particularly his assertions about Harris, speaks to the larger phenomenon of the so-called tech overlords influencing democracy. This concept refers to the immense influence that tech leaders and billionaires wield over societal institutions, often through indirect channels like philanthropy, media ownership, or political donations. Musk's use of social media to amplify his views about Harris has raised questions about the ethical boundaries of such power. For someone in Musk's position, where does the line between personal expression and political manipulation lie? Is it ethical for someone with access to such vast resources and platforms to single-handedly shape political narratives? The implications of Musk's claims on the current political environment are profound. His statements have reached a point where they transcend mere conspiracy theory and become a part of the broader cultural conversation about who holds real power in America. Musk's allusions to Harris's connections with Silicon Valley elites have tapped into growing anxieties about the merging of corporate interests and political leadership. This unease reflects a broader global trend. Many people are becoming more suspicious of leaders whose careers are supported by wealthy backers or those seen as being too cozy with corporate America. This skepticism is particularly pronounced in an era where populism, both on the left and right, has risen in response to the perception that elites, be they political, financial, or technological, are out of touch with the concerns of ordinary citizens. Musk, while himself one of the world's wealthiest individuals, has managed to position himself as a sort of anti-establishment figure. By critiquing Harris, he taps into a vein of populist sentiment, reinforcing the idea that the system is rigged in favor of those who operate behind closed doors, making deals that leave the average person out in the cold. One of the central themes emerging from Musk's allegations is the role of transparency in modern democracy. If Harris's rise to the vice presidency is, as Musk suggests, the result of backdoor dealings and elite alliances, it raises urgent questions about how transparent the political process really is. Voters rely on the assumption that the democratic process is straightforward. Candidates are chosen based on merit, public trust, and their ability to represent the interests of the electorate. Musk's allegations cast doubt on this process. The narrative suggesting that political leaders are often handpicked by a select group of elites who hold the real power behind the scenes undermines faith in democratic institutions. This feeds into a larger crisis of trust that has been growing in American politics for years. The erosion of trust is particularly troubling when considered in light of the broader trends shaping American democracy over the past decade. Confidence in political institutions has steadily declined, with more people feeling alienated from the political process. Musk's claims, even if unfounded, play into these fears, further deepening the sense that the average voter has little real influence over who holds power. This, in turn, could lead to lower voter turnout, greater political apathy, and a more polarized electorate. When citizens feel that their votes don't matter because the game is rigged, the very foundations of democracy are at risk. However, Musk's involvement in the political conversation also reflects the growing role that technology plays in shaping political outcomes. With Musk now in control of X, a platform that has become central to political discourse, his ability to influence public opinion is unparalleled. The fact that Musk can use X to promote his views about Harris, and that these views can quickly gain traction among millions of users, underscores the extent to which tech platforms now function as gatekeepers of information. This raises important questions about the power dynamics between social media platforms and traditional media outlets, and how these dynamics are reshaping democracy. In many ways, Musk's control of X mirrors the larger concerns about big tech's role in politics. While traditional media is subject to certain regulations and accountability standards, tech platforms have largely operated in a legal gray area. This has allowed figures like Musk to exert significant influence over public discourse with little oversight. If Musk's platform becomes a conduit for unsubstantiated claims about political figures, it could lead to a new era of political manipulation, where the truth is increasingly difficult to discern. This has troubling implications for future elections, as candidates may find themselves not only fighting their opponents but also battling against tech moguls and the platforms they control. The rise of social media and its impact on political campaigns is not new, but Musk's personal involvement in this space highlights the growing convergence of business and politics. Figures like Musk, who control vast wealth and own influential platforms, are increasingly blurring the lines between corporate and political power. This convergence raises ethical concerns about how such individuals wield their influence. Should there be checks on the ability of billionaires like Musk to dominate political conversations? Should tech platforms be regulated more strictly to prevent them from becoming tools for personal or political vendettas? These questions become even more pressing when considering the broader implications for democracy. Musk's ability to shape narratives about Harris and other political figures through his platform suggests that we are entering a new era where control of information is as important as control of policy. This shift in the balance of power from elected officials to corporate titans has profound implications for the future of governance. If billionaires like Musk can effectively control the flow of information, they may be able to steer public opinion in ways that undermine democratic accountability. Moreover, Musk's involvement in the Harris controversy could signal a broader trend of tech figures using their platforms to pursue political objectives. In recent years, we've seen other tech leaders, such as Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, take a more active role in political debates, whether through lobbying efforts, public statements, or control over media outlets. Musk's approach, however, is unique in that he has positioned himself as both an insider and an outsider. While he is deeply entrenched in the tech elite, he also frames his critiques in a way that appeals to anti-establishment sentiments. This duality makes him an especially powerful and unpredictable force in the political arena. As we move closer to the 2024 election, the influence of tech figures like Musk will only grow. With social media playing an increasingly central role in political campaigns, candidates will need to navigate an environment where platforms like X can either amplify or undermine their messages. Musk's involvement has shown that even a single figure can dramatically reshape the conversation around a candidate like Harris, raising the stakes for future elections. Another consequence of Musk's revelations is the impact on the Democratic Party's unity and direction. Harris has been a key figure in the party's leadership, and her potential role as the party's 2024 nominee is seen as a continuation of the Biden administration's policies and values. However, Musk's claims threaten to fracture the party's base, particularly among younger voters who are more likely to be influenced by social media narratives. If Musk's allegations gain traction, they could sow division within the Democratic Party, with some factions questioning Harris's fitness for leadership. This could lead to primary challenges or splinter movements, further weakening the party's chances in the 2024 election. Musk's involvement in shaping the narrative around Harris also has international implications. As the U.S. prepares for another presidential election, the eyes of the world are watching closely. The allegations Musk has made about Harris's connections to Silicon Valley elites could reinforce existing criticisms of American democracy abroad. In many parts of the world, the U.S. is seen as a model of democratic governance, but Musk's claims could fuel the perception that the country's political system is driven by corporate interests rather than by the will of the people. This could have far-reaching consequences for U.S. foreign policy, as other nations may be less inclined to follow America's lead on issues related to democracy and governance. Additionally, Musk's influence on the global stage highlights the growing role that tech billionaires play in geopolitics. In recent years, figures like Musk have increasingly been involved in international diplomacy, whether through their business dealings or through their influence on global communication networks. Musk's control of X gives him a platform not just to shape American political discourse, but to influence conversations around the world. This global reach raises important questions about the power of unelected individuals to shape international politics. One potential outcome of Musk's involvement in the Harris controversy is the emergence of new political movements that seek to challenge the influence of tech elites in American politics. In recent years, we've seen the rise of populist movements on both the left and right that criticize the concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few. Musk's claims about Harris could fuel these movements, leading to a more sustained push for campaign finance reform, corporate accountability, and greater transparency in government. For Harris, the road ahead will be filled with challenges. As she prepares for the 2024 election, she must navigate the minefield of Musk's allegations while maintaining her focus on the issues that matter most to voters. This will require a delicate balancing act, as Harris must both refute the conspiracy theories swirling around her while presenting a compelling vision for the future of the country. The success or failure of her campaign may ultimately hinge on her ability to stay on message in the face of relentless scrutiny. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us what's your reaction to Musk's claims about Kamala Harris? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.